What's up, Gundam Kitchen fans and Millennium Hobby fans? Because there is nothing Gundam in this shipment, but we do have some mecha, and I would highly recommend you guys, if you're looking for something different, otherwise than just Gundams, there's tons of good games, and we're not just a Warhammer store like most hobby shops that deal in games, or most game stores get bogged down in Warhammer and Magic, the Gathering. We have about 10 to 12 different games on the wall, and people who play all of them who come here on a regular basis. So if you're looking to get into miniatures because you want something different, want something to paint, or want to learn something new, or just keep your brain sharp with strategic skills, you definitely got plenty of options in the store. So let's look at some of those options. So if you want something fun, quick to pick up, easy to learn, you got Rumble Slam. This is a version 2, so that's a new version 2 starter. Game's been out for a good amount of time, and they're already on version 2, cleaning up the rules. You got the new rule book here, and this is a fun, simple game. You basically play, it's wrestling. So, and a lot of the characters are modeled after some of the great wrestlers back in the day. You got Superfly and Ultimate Warrior looking characters, but it's in a fantasy world. So there's ogres, a skeleton squad, witch squad. You got your humans, and obviously the guy looks like Ultimate Warrior right there. So, and I think they're introducing some more squads. So it's a very entertaining game. And what's good about it, what makes it easy, is most of the information you need to know is right there on the cards. And the dice are simple, nothing crazy with that. Not too many triggers or stuff like that you see in a lot of other games. So it keeps it really simple and just fun to play, pick up, drink a couple beers, and play a game with a friend. If you want something a little more serious in the sports game arena, Aristeia is within the Infinity Universe. One of my favorite games. It is a little more rule heavy, but the good thing about that is the rules are real tight, and it's a tournament type of game, but it can be played at a non-competitive level and have a lot of fun with it too. So you get some great miniatures, which is nice about this game is the miniatures are pre-built, so all you gotta do is paint them, and they are really good for pre-built miniatures. I wish more companies would do this because I like to just get down to the painting. Otherwise, than the plastic being a little soft for that axe, I really like these. So, give you an idea of what you can do with these. And it was great about this game also, it's not like a money chasing kind of game where you don't have to spend a ton of money. You can just buy the starter, or if you have a friend who already has it, you can just buy a couple of these booster packs, and you only need 4 characters to play. It doesn't matter what 4 you pick, you just need 4 characters. So that makes it, not as crazy. You just try to pick the characters that fit your style of play instead of like chasing rare characters. Most of the characters are the same price point, so there's no worrying about some characters being way expensive and others being cheaper. Works out well. And then, of course, like I said, this is in the Infinity Universe. Infinity has released Code 1, which I guess is like an introductory level into Infinity. And it is a predecessor to the new rule set. So they're doing V4, their 4th version of the rule set coming up. So this is trying to get people back into it with the cleaned up rules. I'm sure a lot of the rules in here that are simplified will be right in line with the V4 rules, and they're already in line with the V3 rules. But it'll just be cleaner rule set for V4. But this is the game where there's a smaller army count, and it gets you in there with not as many layers of rules. So Infinity can be very rule heavy, which obviously will be a bad thing because this is a lot to learn. But the good side of it is it's another tournament-based game, so all those rules make a lot of sense. They're surprisingly intuitive once you understand what's going on. And having that many rules cuts down on arguments over situations because it's pretty well explained. So once you start playing, anything you can think of in a military situation can pretty much be done, which is really cool about the game. You got smoke, and you got suppressive fire, and you got tons of stuff, and ranges of weapons, and they vary, and all that good stuff that makes it very strategic, and cover is very important, and people react out of their turn, and you can put them in Overwatch if you want, but they automatically get to react if they see somebody moving in their line of sight. So a lot of good stuff in that game. And another one, now these are metal miniatures, but they are probably my favorite miniatures. I mean, I don't really like working on metal, but just their builds and their designs of characters, and that they use realistic proportions, not like hero scale, makes them really cool. So this one's obviously work in progress. That was one of the bigger guys, like a heavy infantry style. And then they have like really heavy armored ones. So if you like mecha, they got some cool mecha looking things in there. And they got heavy infantry, and you got like small dudes, you got like ninja like dudes. It's great, great game. They even got little robots like these guys here that go running around doing stuff for you. What else we got here? Wild West Exodus. So you like weird steampunk Wild West. Think of the movie Wild West with that kind of steampunk theme with a bunch of different factions in it. Presidents are in there. I think they got like Lincoln, and I think they just released Theodore Roosevelt and all kinds of stuff. So it's a fun game, playing on a lot of different genres. Malifaux, another game that's like a weird type of steampunk world, fantasy world. That's another one that's really fun. I like that game as well. So just a lot of games, a lot of variety. We actually even have people who play Drop Zone. They haven't played it here, but we have a couple guys who play Drop Zone. That's the new rule set for that. I think this is another type of rule set for your 1/100 or your 20 mil military gaming. So it gives you a lot of history in this book, and then it has a rule set for how to build your armies and so on. So, we have Flames of War, we have Bold Action. So 2 different scales of World War II games, but then some of the guys, every once in a while, they'll play a different version using a different rule set of those games too, just to keep it fresh. Get the Wargaming magazines. This is nice, unmatched. I got to demo one of these games because it's a series of games now. So I think it's been out for about 2 or 3 years, and basically they're like miniature games that are played on a board. So it's kind of like your hybrid type of game. So it uses some cards. It can be special abilities, and then each of your characters have their abilities, and they move around on a map with predetermined spaces they can go. So you don't need rulers or anything like that. So it's a hybrid type of game, but it's supposed to be really competitive and fast paced. So sounds good. I gotta demo it. A lot of stuff is coming out nowadays, so a lot of video games are made into games. So we have Fallout, we got a couple guys playing that, and then Elder Scrolls, another one we got guys getting into. So this is actually pre-ordered by somebody. So if there's like miniature games that are out there that you're interested in, we can definitely do pre-orders. Got some paint holders. I think that's for Dave. So if anybody ever needs any stuff like that, the MDF paint holders, I can order those as well. The expansion for Root, the Underworld. So we got a bunch of those in. That's a hot board game right now. And Warhammer has started, obviously, for the newest version. They started bringing out sets that match the new version. So you got paint sets, sets with the nipper and paintbrush. You got these great value type of sets. So a lot of people complain about Warhammer's super overpriced, but there's ways to get it at a value price. So if you can split one of this, or the one that came out like a week ago, or I guess like 2 weeks ago, the Indominus that blew out, there's a lot of value in those boxes. And if you can split it with a friend, you're off to the races with a really good value. So there's ways to get in there without breaking the bank. And then let's look at the mecha. So pretty sure this is kind of obscure in America, but Hexagear, really cool. By Kota Bakia. Think about like old school G.I. Joes, like 80s, 90s G.I. Joe, where, like they're like 3 to 4 inches tall, but you can build them. And then they have armors and vehicles and things that look like Zoids that you can modify and easily put together because they all use the same connection points. So very cool, very military looking. So you can do great dioramas. They have more characters coming out. Some of them are armored up. There's one of the vehicles right there. So the vehicles are big enough for these characters to ride them. Got a Blade Liger in. So I'm going to do first come, first serve on these. I got only 2 of them. So if you're about it, get here. I'm not going to hold those for anybody. We got the new Miku. So that's the cherry blossom version. Very cute. So let's see what she looks like. This is kind of funny because I guess this is because of rice. They put a sticker over like the hologram sticker that was on there. So this really nice creamy pink hair, like a strawberry cream color. Bright pink. Nice flesh tone there. And how many heads do you get here? So you get 3 faces. 2 with the... Alright, so you got 1 smile looking dead on, 1 smile looking off to the side, and 1 with the mouth open. So she's a singer, that's probably the one you go with. But very nice. For all you Miku fans who like to build. And then, I mean, being a frame arm, you can probably armor her up and have like a crazy warrior Miku if you want. This is also very cool. This is by Bandai. We've had some of these in. So this is the Labos, which are basically pretty simple figures to put together. More of a statue. It's not going to be posable. So it's locked in, but it is something you do build. So Megami devices, which arguably might have better armors than your frame arm girls. It's arguable, but it's all by Kotobukiya, so it's all in the same family. But I mean, she's really heavy armor, especially on the legs. Very cool. And tons of water slides in here, which is nice. And look at the expressions. Really cool expressions on those. And then she is also a newer one. So, more on like a demonic type of theme than heavily armored. And you get these faces and a couple of water slides. Forgot about some of the tools we got in. So we got the very popular right now wet palette. Everybody says you have to have a wet palette. There's one already nicely assembled for you. Nice carrying case. You can hold your brushes. Has plenty of the hydro sheets and the hydro foam. So that's cool. If you're a spray painter, got these spray paint tips that you can switch out so you can get different types of spray paint effects. So make your spray paint game a lot more interesting. And this is interesting. I definitely got to demo this myself. It's called a glass fiber pencil. And depending on how much you twist this forward or back, which will allow this to spread out and be more fluffy, depends on how abrasive it is. So if you have it pulled all the way back and it's fluffy, you can use it as a duster. If you have it all the way tight up like this, you can actually use it almost like sanding paper because they're little glass fibers that are just scratching away. So it could clean up your seam lines or stuff like that. Cleans up photo etch. So, or you can just use it for dusting. Or maybe if you did a multiple layer paint job where you did like the hairspray technique or something like that, and you get down to the rust layer, you can use this to scrape off the top layers of paint with a little bit of water and have a very nice rusted, like scraped effect. So really cool tool. Like stuff like that. Got the 2 different milliputs in, super fine and standard. So people like epoxies, like to do a little modeling, sculpting with that. Got those in. I should have some green stuff tomorrow. Stynylrez, my favorite primer. I highly recommend Stynylrez for if you're using water-based primers. Stynylrez. And then Mecha will be my second recommendation, but I think I'm Stynylrez first, Mecha second. And then, of course, if you can, you probably want to use a lacquer if you can. And then these. So I've had the big rack at the table for a while, and I did a test run when I first got them in. I was kind of underwhelmed because the only way I could get them to really work well is if I wet them. I can never get the metallics to work. Then one of my customers came in 2 days ago, Mike, thanks for the suggestion, and he told me his boy was using matte coat on top. So these are actually used for finishing. These are finishing type of things. You put your finishing effects on with these, and the matte coat makes it right like it's a pencil on paper. It's amazing. Works so well once you get that matte coat down. So just to give you some example, matte coat the shell from one of those Zaku heads, and look how easy this works now. So before something like green, it was very hard to get the show up. Let's make sure we got get this so we can see here. Get focused. All right, so look at this right there, green on green. You know what you do that for? You get a little variation in shading. And then what's cool, water on a brush, you can wipe it all the way off, or if you just have your brush almost dry, just damp, like a dry brush, you can streak it. So I don't know if you guys can see this. This is very subtle. Yeah, you can see it. These are streaks. So I put a bunch of lines in different colors of green, and then I just took the brush and slowly streaked them out. So you get all kinds of variations. These probably weren't the best colors to choose with it, just the colors I had available. There's like, in the rust kit, there's like 5 colors of rust, or 4. So this is probably a darker color, and when you do rust, you want a couple of shades. So you can do that. How about you want to do some graffiti or something like that? All right? You get crazy. So like this set they're showing you right here, that graffiti was probably done with this. All right? Let's see if we can do a piece. There you go. So you can write with them. Great for like, yeah, graffiti on like tanks and stuff like that. How about the metallics? Couldn't get them to work before. Look at that. Now they're working. Perfect. So that could be chipping. You could do some chipping, some rust, and do like some gunmetal, and then chip a little bit of rust. You can do all kinds of stuff. Also, I think I showed you guys before in the video, you can get them wet and then rub them onto like a piece of parchment paper or anything that's not going to like soak it all the way in, and then use your brush, and you can brush it, or you can use a sponge. You can still sponge dab with them, and they're great to clean up because all it takes is water to pull it all the way off. So super simple. Edge highlighting, which I really like with these. You can just go along the edge here, and you could edge highlight. A lot of times in Gundam you see people doing it the opposite, the other edge is dark, but in reality, edges usually catch a lot of light. So why not edge highlight with ease? So, and since it's a pencil, you already know how to use a pencil. It's not like you have to learn how to paintbrush or anything like that. You get a lot done with these. And now here's the pros using them, which is crazy. There's the edge highlighting on wood. Looks amazing. Look at all this. Put all those chips and stuff in with this. Crazy. Highlighting again. Edge highlighting. Light blue on dark blue. Streaks. So, and then they tell you right here. Dry applications. Chipping. Surface chipping. Rods. I don't know what that is. Scratches. Highlight edges. Yeah. I think that's a great use of it. Brush metal. That's interesting. So if you just streak it several times in one direction, you'll get a brush metal look. Paneling. It'd probably be a little hard. You have to get it really sharp, but you could do some panel lining probably. Streaking effects, definitely. So like I said, you just get a damp brush, streak it out. Rust effects, that's easy. We can dab it on with a sponge. Smoke and grease effects. Yeah, you can make some nice soot with this. Dust and mud application, yep. So tons of stuff you can do with this. And this is just a starting list. I mean, this has only been around for about a year, if that. So you can get crazy with these. And here, look at that usage. So they obviously, like just like I said, they took, probably scraped it on a plate or something, got it wet, and then they used a brush. And then this is a great modulation type of technique where you can have like just that surface and be a little brighter than the rest of the surface, so it just draws more interest into your kits. Have different variations of things, like something got replaced, so it's just a different shade. It's just nice to have all that kind of variation. You could probably even do all these little rivets. You can just hit the tips of those with a little bit of silver or another metal color, just to make them pop a little bit more, or a white if you really want them to stand out. So definitely techniques you can do with, you know, a paintbrush, but the pencil, you already know how to use a pencil. It's very easy to use. So very cool set.
this is the set for you guys to buy. If you want to buy the pretty much entire line, one of each. I think that's it's 37 of them. My set might be bigger. Can't remember. But it's a good amount of the colors. And I think I'll probably have a very competitive price. I always try to be at least fair. And I think I'm going to be very competitive on the price on this one. So definitely, if you want to get into the set, it's going to be cheaper than buying them individually. I think that's the route. I'll probably start selling some of these smaller packs too, for people who just want, a set of colors. If you just want to do metallics or you want to do rust effects, like, what's that one? So I have one that's just rust. That's my personal one. And they have one that's just metal colors. And look at that. Look who's on there. So very nice. Good stuff. And now we know how to use it, and knowing is half the battle. All right. That's it for